Good afternoon, everybody. It's Chris Scully and Aircon coming to you live from Drive. And today we have a special guest, Mike Istvan from Aberdeen Automotive. Welcome, Mike.
How's it going?
Very well, thank you.
Good.
All right, so let's kind of launch into a couple of questions. You're a relatively young guy. Tell us how you got started in the business and how you came to own your shop.
Yeah, I guess when I was a little kid, I guess you would say I was 16, got my first vehicle, and it broke down. Took it to the shop, and it needed a clutch. And I was like, they gave me a price. I was like, I can't afford that. So me and my friend, we took the transmission out and put a clutch in there and kind of just been doing it from there. And then graduated high school, went off to Universal Technical Institute over in Arizona, did 2 years, did automotive and diesel over there, got my associate's degree. Once I got done there, graduated, came back to Washington. I got a job at a shop, worked there for 2.5 years. And while I was getting that experience, in the field, my parents, they asked, hey, you want to start your own shop? I said, well, yeah, but it'd be great if we did it over where I live. And so that didn't happen. We found property here in Aberdeen, Washington. We purchased the land here, had the shop built. It was just a 3-bay shop. So it was all brand new when we got finished, and we opened up in July of 2007. Once we opened, there was no business. I was, we had an upstairs, kind of like a loft up there, and it was, July, nice and hot summer days, and I would just go upstairs and fall asleep in a little recliner up there. And finally, after 4 hours of waiting, in between cars, I mean, we were just only doing oil changes just to get people coming. So eventually, it started picking up. I did hire my first guy, kind of continued on with, basic maintenances, but I was all full on doing full auto repair. Eventually, word got around, oh, that's the oil change shop. And I was like, no. That's not what we want. We're not the Jiffy Lube. We're full auto repair. So we made up some flyers and this and that, and started bringing in some regular customers and some real auto repair of what we wanted to work towards. And so after about 13 years of just doing the same thing over and over of doing auto repair, it was me, one tech, sometimes 2 techs, so let's say 3 total. And I was running back and forth between, doing technician and service writing, customers, ordering parts. I mean, I was busy, running around, way too busy. Eventually, throughout the years, I did get some calls from Drive, and I was like, no, I don't need that. So eventually, I did accept one of those calls and talked a little bit more about it with one of the sales rep, or what would you call that guy?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, we talked a little bit more, and then we watched. I think he showed me a video or something, and then we pretty much was like, all right, let's sign up, let's do it, let's see what it's all about. And so I was kind of in a tough situation at the time of thinking in my head like, okay, this is going to cost more money to be a part of this program, but hopefully it'll be worth it in the long run, because my wife, we decided that she was going to stay at home with our son and take care of him. He was only like a 1.5 years at the time. And so I was like, only one income, and then trying to have another payment on top of everything else. So anyways, joined Drive and started taking some classes, and my coach right away, he was like, you need to get a service advisor. You need to get a service advisor. And I kept thinking in my head, why would I get a service advisor? I can do all that work and do a tech. Why? And so anyways, I finally was like, all right, let's do it. I did Indeed. I had like 20 applicants. I interviewed 3 of them, got a service advisor pretty much within the first week. It was quick. It was a girl, her name was Kirsty, and she didn't know much about cars, but she was very friendly, good with phone calls and making appointments, and then we started teaching her about vehicle parts and stuff. It didn't take long to train her. So once we got her in there, let's say the amount of money we started making was a huge change. I couldn't believe it.
I love it. That's awesome.
That's great.
And I was like, so now I look back and I'm like, why didn't I hire a service advisor a long time ago? So
it's a familiar story to us.
Why did you not hire? Do you have an answer for that, Mike?
Because I thought I could just do it myself, and I didn't think it was worth. I didn't think there was going to be a gain in hiring a service advisor.
I gotcha.
I guess I thought I could do it all on my own and I could handle it, which I was for, those 13 years, 14 years. I was doing it all on my own. I was like, why would I hire them? I can do it all. But it's actually more efficient to have them do that job only.
Right.
Yeah, way better. Big change right there, right off the bat. So that was the first big change. And then the second one was, hey, how many bays do you have? Oh, so 2.5 years, no, 3 years ago, we did an addition. We added two more bays. So now I'm a 5-bay shop.
Okay.
So once my coach got us all set up on the service advisor, then that's when it came up, like, well, how many bays do you got? I was like, well, we got 5. And then I said, but there's a project car over in this one bay. It's always there. We're working on it when we get a chance. And he's like, well, can it move? Does it roll? I said, yeah. Push it out every day. If you don't got parts for it, don't work on it. Put it out there. Use that bay. And if you're going to open up that bay and start using it, hire another technician. So ended up hiring a 3rd technician. And now same thing, just the profits and just everything has come up. Everything's working. So a lot of our classes that I've taken through Drive that I've learned is, when you want to be efficient, find the problems that are slowing you down. So with those classes, it's very helpful, and I can see it in my business and the growth. For a long time, let's say our technicians, I don't feel I paid them very much. And then now that I've joined Drive, I feel like I can pay them what they're worth. And then also at the end of the month, we work as a team. We have a end of the month bonus. So if we have a goal, it's almost like a tier, but the further up the tier, the more cash bonus that they get at the end of the month. So it makes them, want that and work better and more efficient. Kind of comes back to comebacks. We don't want comebacks, because then all of a sudden that hurts the end of the goal month to be able to get their bonus and stuff. So that way, they're paying attention on what they're working on.
That's great. Now, you've made a lot of changes in just a little under a year.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about the mindset involved in going through that much change, and how did your team respond to it?
The team, I feel like I got a good team to where they were very, they didn't care about the change. I just, say, hey, this is what we're doing. And they said, okay, let's do it. And so I guess I got a good team. I'm sure if I had other types of, we did have one pushback on one of the guys, when we added that third technician, guess what? Their bonus plan they had to make more money.
Right.
But that third guy is here to help us make more money. So it's not like he felt like they got a step back kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But it was within the first month they did bonus, not very high. And then the second and third month they bonused, they're back on track, no problem. So that was the only pushback of any changes that we've had. It wasn't too bad. So we did have some other changes, like we do tablets, vehicle inspections, and everything is all on the tablet-based software. So that was a pretty big change, because I think this is something that really slowed us down. Was we did everything on paper, and then sometimes technician notes in papers, like a sticky note or a piece of paper, like, hey, I need this other part. Sometimes it was like you're on the counter, or the service supervisor's on the counter, like, where'd that piece of paper go? So,
right.
and we're looking, finally find it, and you just ate up 5-10 minutes of your time just looking for one paper. Anyways, now that we're switched over to the tablets, everything's attached to the customer's file, nothing gets lost, so we're not searching for anything anymore. So that was another big increase on things that we've changed. Part of what Drive teaches is some of their classes, they want to do, it's called a rack system, and that was paper. I wanted to kind of get away from that, and so that was one more kind of thing, like to force me into the technology of the tablets. And we also did switch over to our systems. We used to have Mitchell, and then we switched over to Shopware, which really helps out with the tablets and doing everything, wirelessly, no more paper. It also helps out a lot with showing the customers. We can take pictures with the tablets, we can email, we can text. We couldn't do that before. All it was a phone call to the customer before, and then if they, for some reason, if they didn't believe us, would say, hey, come down and we'll show you. And then the vehicle's sitting on the lift, we're waiting for them. So that's something that's really picked up way faster. You can email it to them. They'll be calling you back after they've looked at the whole invoice. They'll call you back in 5 minutes. We'll have an approval that fast. So big change. I think I missed your first question.
So talk a little bit about the mindset you had going into the program, making the changes in your shop. For some people, that's easier than others. So I'd like to know your approach to the changes that your coach recommended. And
I guess I didn't like them, of course. Starting off from the beginning, like the service advisor, I was like, I don't need that, but okay, let's do it. I didn't like it. I didn't like it at all. And just because I knew I could do that work, but I guess I didn't understand that it could be that much more efficient. So my mindset, I just didn't like to do it. But I also thought, it's like, well, I'm paying for this. It's almost like a teacher. They're teaching you and guiding you on what to do. I was like, I'm paying for it. I better listen to them. And so I started, the more progress, as in, the shops started taking off and doing better and better, the more I started listening to my coach more and more. So it was really, really good success right there.
that's great. I'd like to talk a little bit about the classes you took. I noticed that you'd done a lot of our action workshops, the short 1 hour workshops. Talk about those and how you use them to make progress in your shop.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing that I've really learned was kind of keeping track of our KPIs, key performance indicators. Basically tracking those and kind of seeing where the shop is doing good, where is it struggling, where things can be slowed down. So through those classes, I've learned the problem here at my shop is billed labor hours. And For a lot of years in time, a while ago, I did half-hour checkouts. Well, if it took me 4 hours, it was still half hour. It was just kind of a thing to get a customer to come in. And so after I started Drive, we did 1 hour checkouts. But sometimes we get it done in 45 minutes or an hour. But then sometimes there's these other ones that are 4 or 5 hours of just trying to figure out these problem childs. And so now we are just, like I said, billed labor hours is our problem here at my shop. And so now we're having to, call the customer, which we've never done before, and ask for more, diagnostic time. So these are really, really easy to see things when you do the KPIs and you track them every week. I guess there's other shops, somehow they may have these automatically inputted into the computer, but since I don't have that, me putting the numbers in every week, it makes me realize and see the numbers every week instead of just some automatic program. Then you don't keep track of it very well. So I feel that that's a really good thing since it's not automatically put in. The class is also let's see. Not the last, but a recent one that I did was kind of like phone calls and, dealing with customers. You want to be happy. You want to present your shop, really, nice looking shop. You don't want to have garbage all over the place. And, you got to clean the place up. You got to make it look nice. So that's another thing you in these classes that you learn about. Customers, they're not going to pay a lot of money if your place looks all trashed.
Right.
So, yeah, I've learned a lot, and I'm still taking classes and learning all kinds of stuff. It's really good.
That's great. Thanks for that. Now, what are your plans for the future?
We've talked a little bit about possibly expanding again. I mean, that might be a couple years, or it could be might be still this year or next year. I don't think it's going to be that far off because we're so busy. We're booked out like at least 2 weeks all the time, sometimes 3 weeks. It fluctuates a little bit, but I mean, we've never really struggled in, the lack of work. There's always customers coming in. And so I feel like just because we're so busy, every bay is full. So I feel like if I could have 1 more bay, 2 more bays, 3 more bays, that would make it that much more easier, more efficient and productive for what we got going on here. And then something more in the future, it could be like I'm at Drive calls it a level 3, where you're kind of around the shop. You're not, completely working all the time. You're helping out at the front with the service advisor sometimes. You're helping out with the tech sometimes. And then, if I need to go do something at my own house, I'm able to leave the shop and go home, do some yard work or whatever.
I want to ask a question on that.
Yeah.
Did you think it was possible that you would be doing this? I mean, theoretically, yes, but what did you think before joining?
No, I did not think I could ever just leave half the day and be gone. No way.
And it hasn't even been a year, you're saying, since
Yeah.
you've been.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think is the biggest game changer in that for you?
I think just hiring more people. I always thought in my head, oh, if I got to hire more people, it's going to cost more money, and then the whatever money we did make, I'm just going to end up having to pay them. And so that's what I always thought. I was like, okay, I'll just hire 2 techs and then me, and that's it. And so now that I've hired more people, it's become way more easier, not less stress, way less stress, just because there's more help here. Me trying to do everything on my own, it was too much. So,
Good.
yeah.
I think a lot of the shop owners by nature is they're like they solve problems and they get to solve them themselves. And a lot of the times shop owners think they can solve this business problem as well by themselves. But it's not always that straightforward. And it could be years until you decide, all right, I gotta do something different. I mean, even when you do, it takes another level of commitment and understanding to make the changes. Knowing that the change will help is one thing, but doing them is another thing. You've done it. Like, what was it for you that caused you to do it?
I mean, watching some of these drive videos of other shop owners, doing their thing, it just kind of made me think, okay, I just need to listen to my coach, and if he says to do this,
Bingo.
that's what I'm gonna have to work at. So
Bingo.
Right on.
yeah.
So we have an expo coming up, and I hear you're planning to go.
The Florida, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I'll be
So
there.
what are you looking forward to as far as the expo goes?
As a first time comer, right? As a first time expo attendant,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I mean, it'd be nice just definitely to, meet the coaches and meet other shop owners, and, it's nice to talk with other shop owners, and, there's things where you come up with like, hey, I've had this problem, or I've had this scenario, and then the other guy's like, oh, I had that same thing, and then they brought up, a scenario of what they did to fix it, and so that's really helpful. That's another thing that's really nice in your classes is it's not just you in the class. There's other shop owners in that same class. Sometimes there can be 2 or 3 people in there. Sometimes there can be 14 people in there, and sometimes you're just listening and you're just taking in all the information, and all of a sudden this one guy pops up and asks something, and then you're like, oh, I had that same thing happen, and so then all 14 people start talking about it, and then you're like, you just come up with really good ideas, and it's really nice. So I feel like those classes, there's stuff that that they teach about. It's all typed out and stuff. But then I think the biggest thing is, the shop owners, chiming in and talking about their ideas, and so that's really nice.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. There's
Another-
definitely going to be lots of opportunity for that at the expo, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Great.
So I know, Kevin, your coach, he talks about what you're doing together as we get together as coaches. So is there anything that you're doing with Kevin that's particularly working for you in terms of the coaching relationship, your expectations and what's working for you?
Yeah. So we talk every Tuesdays, and I think the biggest thing that works out really nice for me and Kevin is once we talk about all our stuff, he goes, okay, now go ahead and do it. And then, sometimes like, okay, I'm starting to forget things. And well, what's really nice is he emails kind of a summary of the things that we talked about. And then he kind of has like a bullet of each thing that we talked about, and things that we plan to do for that week. So it's really helpful on his end, providing something like that to really help me out, to kind of keep me on track and things that I should be doing throughout the week. Which it kind of also brings me back to some of your classes, is setting goals class, and basically making them and making plans, having a notepad, and you can have 1 month goals, you can have that 1 week goals, and then write them down. If you don't have that stuff and you don't have that piece of paper and you're not writing goals down, you end up pretty much not doing them, or you forget about them. So I think that's really helpful between me and Kevin, him kind of writing them down, and also me writing my own stuff down. That's really helpful.
Great. Another question: how has this process or the progress, what kind of effect did that have on your personal life?
At first, like I said, I was worried about an extra payment, but it was not, I mean, it was like within the first month, we were already, like, as soon as we got that service advisor, it's just business has increased, you know, dollar wise has increased. Um, my life, I feel like, instead of me having to save up 6 months just to buy something that I want for my race car, you know, sometimes I can buy it within that month, 1 month. So that's a big change right there. Also, just being able to, we were supposed to have this last week, but I was in Hawaii.
Yes, right. I know you
Yeah,
sent. Yeah, yes.
yeah, we haven't been on vacation since our son was born, 2.5 years, and
Uh-huh.
so, and then, you know, 2.5 years ago, before we had our son, my wife was working, so, you know, that was a second income. And so it worked out then. And then once we had my son and then my wife wasn't working, then it was, you know, real limited on the things that I could do. And then now that I've started driving, we've really progressed and increased. It's a lot easier. So it's nice. It's less stress and things are working. I feel like even our customers are happier on, you know, I feel like we can spend more time on the cars and instead of rushing to get them out. You know, that way we have good quality and work that we do here at the shop.
Wow. You know, I want to thank you for acknowledging Drive and the people who are involved here
Yeah,
for this progress. But I will say this too. I mean, it's all you. It's mostly you as the shop owner and the leader. And what I'm looking at right now is someone who decided to make a change and acted on it, as opposed to thinking about it.
yeah.
And you've done it, and that's amazing. Just a little bit of snippet of what's changed in your personal life in the last year gave me goosebumps, and that's what we're here for.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
And we are running up on our time. It's amazing how quickly it goes when we're having a conversation like this.
yeah,
And I want to thank you for coming on, Mike.
yeah,
Very well done on what you've accomplished so far. You're actually a good example of what can be done when somebody just sets their mind to implementing the change and listening to what they're learning in the classes and putting it to use in the shop. So really well done on that. For all our viewers, next week we have John Burkhauser from Bolt On Technology as a guest, and we're going to be talking about efficiency. And so tune us in next week. And everybody have a great weekend and a happy Father's Day.
Yes.
all right.
Thank you, Mike.
You're welcome.